Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon, my name is Thomas Adams, and here are your news and sports headlines to 3:30. The Supreme Court of Canada dismissed the appeal to save a flock of ostriches on a farm in Edgewood, BC. Hundreds of birds were rounded up by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency today as they have been attempting to euthanize the flock since the avian flu was discovered on the farm. Over the past few months, Universal Ostrich Farms Incorporated has been in court trying to save the birds, but the case was ultimately dismissed. Supporters of the ostriches washed in tears as the birds were rounded up. Coquitlam residents can now submit their own inputs to develop the city's new official community plan. Reporter Jeannie Lynn has the details.
Coquitlam is inviting the community to share feedback on a new, streamlined, user-friendly official community plan due for review in 2027. The plan this year requires updates on 3 key areas: public transit, small-scale multi-unit housing, and housing affordability. Renee Disincroix is the city's director of urban planning. She talks about why the city's OCP is overdue for an update.
Our OCP is just much larger than a lot of other municipalities because we have neighborhood plans as a part of our official community plan as well. So the document is just, over time, it's just gotten quite large and quite complex. And so what we're undertaking here is a way of kind of consolidating and streamlining to make it so that you don't have, 3 to 5 policy repeats across the document.
Coquitlam City Hall is hosting multiple information sessions throughout November. Residents can submit the survey on City Hall website. Jeannie Lin, BCIT News.
Alberta's police watchdogs say 2 RCMP officers who shot and killed a teenage boy after he called them for help won't be charged. Haas Lightning, who was 15, died in August 2024 after telling a 911 dispatcher he was being followed by people trying to kill him. The watchdog says RCMP found Lightning with weapons, including a machete and knife. They say the boy refused to let an officer search his backpack and tried to intimidate an officer before running away into a nearby field. Investigators say there was a fight and the boy was shot in the chest. He was pronounced dead in hospital. The shooting was drawn calls from the police reform and better de-escalation training from politicians and leaders from Samson Cree Nation, where the boy lived. Alberta teachers are taking Premier Danielle Smith's government to court.
It's over the government fast-tracking a law to end the teachers' weeks-long strike and for using the Charter's notwithstanding clause to do it. Teachers Union President Jason Schilling says using the clause is unconstitutional and he wants the law paused until the challenge is heard. The clause allows governments to override certain charter rights for up to 5 years. The province has said this was needed due to the complexity of the strike and its toll on students. The case will be heard this month. Aaron Sousa, The Canadian Press, Edmonton.
Workers in everything from car manufacturing to teaching have fought for the right to unionize for more than a century. Our reporter Gabe Liesi shows us animators are the most recent ones to take up the fight.
Animation across Canada has historically never been unionized. That all changed in 2020 when animators at Titmouse Vancouver voted to form the Canadian Animation Guild. Avril McGurk is a local 3D animator and one of the organizers of another recent unionizing drive. McGurk feels good about the ongoing negotiation process led by IATSE 938.
I'm super confident about bargaining. It's a really good way to get knowledge about how the business you work for operates, but also how everybody is feeling about it.
McGurk says this is the culmination of a years-long process for them and their fellow animators. Gabe Liesi, BCIT News.
A former researcher with Quebec's hydro utility who is facing economic espionage charges says he was applying for work at universities in China because he was unhappy at Hydro-Quebec. Yusheng Wang maintained under cross-examination in court today that there was nothing nefarious about his interest in moving back to China. He explained that it was tied to Hydro-Quebec's unwillingness to extend his work visa long-term and his limited French and English. The Crown alleges Wang used proprietary research at Hydro-Quebec without permission. He says he did not disclose any confidential secrets. Wang, 38, says the Chinese universities offered him unique opportunities such as a full professorship with considerable research resources and funding. Wang has pleaded not guilty to economic espionage under Canada's Security of Information Act and 4 other charges filed in 2022 and 2024 under the criminal code. The utility called in the RCMP to investigate, and the Crown laid charges 2 weeks after he was fired in November 2022. Wang's trial is wrapping up this week before Quebec courts. Members of Parliament are set to cast votes in the first of 3 confidence tests on the federal budget today. Starting with one proposed by the Conservatives, Financial Minister François-Philippe Champagne told reporters he's heard from Canadians this week who are happy with the budget.
It's an investment budget, but it's a budget made for Canadians, and that's what I would invite any member of the opposition, go in the street, talk to people, and you'll see what they tell you.
The Trump administration now says cuts to the biggest government food program won't be as deep as previously expected during the government shutdown. It now says that the maximum SNAP benefit for November will be cut by 35% rather than half. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said in a new court filing that it realized the cut needn't be as drastic as announced earlier this week, at least for those receiving the highest amount available. For some, the benefit would drop to $0. The charge in depth of cuts, its latest development, is tumultuous weekend over how food will be worked. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she won't seek re-election. The announcement Thursday by the California Democrat brings to a close a storied career that saw her become the first woman to hold that job and arguably the most powerful woman in American politics. Pelosi's decision comes as the seasoned generation of political leaders is stepping aside. Pelosi was an architect of the Affordable Care Act and other landmark policies. The 85-year-old Congresswoman relinquished her leadership position 3 years ago. Former President Barack Obama calls her one of the best House speakers ever. A Virginia jury has awarded $10 million to a former teacher in a lawsuit that accused administrator of ignoring warnings that a 6-year-old student had a gun before the teacher was shot. Jurors returned the verdict Thursday against Ebony Parker, a former assistant principal at Richneck Elementary School in Newport. Abby Werner was shot in January 2023. A bullet damaged her left hand and remains in her chest. Parker was the only defendant in the lawsuit. The shooting sent shockwaves through the Virginia military shipbuilding community and the country at large, with many wondering how a child so young could access a gun and shoot his teacher. A Dallas Cowboys player has passed away from reported act of self-harm. Reporter Elijah Ford spoke with experts to get perspective on how high-performance competition can affect mental health.
A report this morning from the Texas Department of Public Safety confirms Dallas Cowboys player Marshawn Kneeland has passed away from a self-inflicted gun wound while fleeing from police. This event has put mental health for athletes back into the public eye. Sports psychologist Alex Cayuas says consistent exposure to high-pressure performance can affect mental health on and off the field.
I do feel that if you live in that kind of chronic stress, high-pressure environment constantly, it can easily crush you or take away your identity.
If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, there is help available. Call or text 988 or chat at 988.org. Elijah Ford, BCIT News.
Men have started growing back their mustaches since the 1st of November. Our reporter Caroline Doyle has more.
Movember participants are nearly 1 week into growing back their mustaches and growing funds. The organization aims to bring awareness to men's mental health and various cancers. The Terry Fox Research Institute says 1 in 8 Canadian men will develop prostate cancer during their lifetime, and 1 in 30 will die from it. Callum Fair, whose father passed away from cancer in 2013, says growing a mustache is one way to bring awareness, regardless of participants' abilities to grow a nice one.
You'll even get guys who think, oh, I can't grow a mustache, so I'm not going to do it. But me personally, like I think the impact's kind of bigger. Like if you have this terrible looking little mustache on your face, because and people can be like, why do you have that?
He hopes that more people participate to bring awareness to the cause. Caroline Doyle, BCIT News.
Don't miss out on Thursday night football tonight with a matchup between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos. Former Seattle Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll and former quarterback Geno Smith look to snap Denver's 6-game winning streak. The Colorado Rockies are hiring Paul Desposeta to be their head of baseball operations. Desposeta, who is coming from Cleveland Browns football organization, is coming back to his roots in baseball to try to fix one of the league's worst teams. Desposeta was famously portrayed by Jonah Hill in the movie Moneyball. Hill's character Peter Brandt was inspired by Desposeta, being the mastermind behind Moneyball. The Rockies hope that some of the Moneyball magic can work for them after posting a 43-119 record this past season. The Vancouver Golden Eyes are the newest members of the Vancouver sports family. The professional women's hockey team has announced their name and branding ahead of their inaugural season. Here is a clip from the announcement.
A force formed in flight. We are the Vancouver Golden Eyes.
The logo features a blue and yellow bird's eye in the crest with the team's name that features gold accents. The name comes from a coastal seabird that is unique to the Vancouver region. Although the announcement is coming before the season, the team will not have the new branding on their jerseys for the upcoming season, but will have their logo at center ice. Thank you so much for tuning in to your news and sports headlines at 3:30. I'm Thomas Adams, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
I would recommend this program for anyone that isn't sure what kind of job they want in media, because you learn everything from like public relations to communications to video editing, like radio, TV. So you do get a lot of experience in all the different fields in media.